Hey guys, DMS here. Today we're revisiting a classic, the NFB-11. Let's check it out. Now do me a favor, if you want to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. If you want to support the channel and ask me questions directly, you can on the Telegram chat, or you can get active in the community on Hi-Fi Guides. So this is an amp I recommended years ago, and the real question is, does it hold up in 2021? Is it still good? If you have one, should you use it? If you don't have one, should you get it? Let's talk about it. So let's just cover this from the top. The build from the outside, it's a very simple chassis. The finishing is not perfect, but it is all metal all the way around. This is a unit that is designed and made in China by AudioGD. The ordering process is weird. You actually have to email them. The site is not very good. Downloading drivers is a bit of a pain on their site, but they've been around for a while. It's not a company that's, disappeared or only been around for a few years. We have a power switch on the back, power in, coax, USB, optical, and RCAs. But these RCAs are on input. This is an output because on the front here, you can switch this to a headphone out, a variable preamp out, so this then will control the volume of the RCAs on the back, and audio will switch from going out here to going on the RCAs, and then fixed, where audio only comes out the RCAs at line level. Then you have low and high gain, which is for both the headphone out and for the RCAs on the back, and then your input selector, coax, USB, optical. I'm gonna plug this thing in, maybe you can hear the relays in it. Now, this is a cheap power cable on Amazon. I get these because they look cool, and I don't have to worry about them melting. So if you want these, I will link them in the video description. I don't know if you can hear that when I flip the switch, this relay clicks. This amp will get warm. You can actually see a little bit of discoloration here on this plate, and that's actually for a couple of reasons. One, because it gets really hot, but two, because this used to be the inside of the amp. When I got this unit, because I got this unit used, this is actually an NFB-11.28. The faceplate was super scratched, and it ends up, you can just take these face plates and flip them over. So I did, and this area that is a little bit discolored is right where a lot of the heat comes from inside the amp. There's the original part of the faceplate. It was sitting like this, so this right here that is slightly different was sitting right over this heatsink. Now you can tell looking inside here, this is not the R2R version, this is the NFB-11.28. You can also tell though by looking at the serial numbers here on the back, in 11.28. These are surprisingly complicated amps and DACs for how cheap they are. And while every component in here is not crazy high quality, it seems like across the board they're pretty decent. There is one singular function on this amp that does not work, and that is when I switch from variable output to line level fixed output, it stays in variable. So the volume knob always controls the RCA outs on my particular unit here. All in all, I feel like it's a decently built amp. Clearly these last for a while. I polled my community, and most of the people who bought NFB-11s back when I originally recommended them still have them and are still using them. So the next question is, should you be using them? Well, let's talk about how it sounds. This is not going to drive the craziest, hardest to drive planars on the planet. It'll drive most things very easily, but when it comes to really, really, really hard to drive headphones, on high gain, this is not going to cut it. That said, everything else in my collection did just fine. This could drive things like Arias, it could drive 600 ohm DT880s, Bayer T1 HT800 with ease, 6XX with ease, Sundaras, Harmonic Dyne Zeus, Harmonic Dyne Helios, 560S, all those just fine. And it still has a very particular sound to it. Now, a lot of people stopped talking about AudioGD because an objectivist review of the R2R11, where they measured it and they were like, this is a terrible DAC, blah, 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 nothing about this is musical. That's fine. They have a right to have their opinion. I liked the R2R11. I will admit there's a lot of better DACs out there, but this is not the R2R11, and I think it sounds great. Is the NFB-11.28 a perfect amp? No, it does measure better than the other NFB-11 models. Something interesting that I feel like people who are very heavily objectivist don't realize, which is really funny, is that in the recording end, things like harmonic distortion is something that is actually sought after. Some of the most expensive and well-renowned microphones in the world add significant harmonic distortion, then are plugged in through tube amps to power the microphones, tube compressors, and processed through tons of different equipment that all add little bits of different types of harmonic distortion because it has a very pleasing sound. It doesn't matter if your system is at you know, a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent of distortion, because the recording has already probably got 7% or more. If not, probably higher than that. Anyway, the point is, listen to what you're going to enjoy. Don't buy an amp for its measurements unless you're using it for measuring. So how does this thing sound? Well, I would say it depends on the headphone. On HD800S, it is a bit more lean. Bass is not very strong on it, and it's definitely a bit more forward in treble, but not like the modern topping amps that can be a bit harsh. Maybe harsh is the wrong word. The modern topping amps are extremely analytical, very clinical. And I would say this leans more so in that direction than like a Class A amp, but it's still smooth on top. So it's an amp that is not going to punch like crazy in the lows, but it's also not going to stab you in the ears in the highs. And so you would think, oh, well, it's probably mid-range focused then, right? Well, not exactly, once again, because I could plug up something very mid-forward and warm like the 6XX into this, and I feel like it brings out the treble a little bit more in it. Or I could plug in something bright like the HD800S, and I feel like the peaks aren't quite as big as they were in the treble. So it seems like anything that a headphone is doing negatively, this is counteracting in some way, which probably leads me to believe that there's some sort of nonlinear response to it, but it just sounds good. Everything I plug up to it sounds good. Now, sure, I can take the SMS LSU9 and the Topping A90, plug those both up, and use a set of headphones with that, and I'm definitely going to get a more clinical, analytical experience. I feel like I'll be more in tune to just crazy levels of micro detail. But with this, I think I enjoy music more. Now, am I saying to, you know, run out and get this today because it's the best thing on the planet? No, not exactly. I definitely think there's a lot of modern amps that are more power capable, and some that are cheaper than this. I still love the JDS Labs EL2, the Atom. This amp is the only one sitting on my desk at home right now. I mean, sure, in my testing room here, I've got the A90, the Dark Voice, just a bajillion amps all over this room. But when I'm sitting at my computer at home, if I'm playing a game or something, or just whatever, I find myself wanting to use this. I think part of that is also due to the form factor. It takes up a very, very small footprint on my desk compared to, well, I say a small footprint. Compared to a stack, it doesn't take up a big footprint. It takes one singular power in, USB, RCA out to my speakers, and I can control everything with one unit, nice and simple. But really, I think that the NFB-11 has stood the test of time. If you bought this amp years ago, I don't see any problem with someone using it today. I mean, I'm using it today, and look at all the crap I have around that I can use. I keep hitting this plant. I'm gonna rotate you just a little bit so I don't keep hitting you. Anyway, NFB-11.28, it stood the test of time. I liked it back then, I like it today, and that's really all there is to it. I think I might build this into my desk, like slot it down into the desk, that way I can just have the knob and everything sticking up out of it. I think that'd be kind of cool. Anyway, that's been a fun little throwback. I want to go and plug this thing back up, and it makes me want to try some of AudioGD's higher end combos, so maybe one day. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. If you liked this video, please leave a like down below, a comment, let me know what you want to see in the future. If you want to get active in the community, you can at forum.hifiguides.com. If you want to ask me a question directly, you can in the Telegram chat and get access to that through the Patreon. That's how I support the channel. And as always, don't forget to stick around, subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Till next one, guys. Peace.